sitting in my dining room right now, guys, where our family eats a lot of our meals together. And the reason I am starting this cooking show is because of my mother. Unfortunately, she passed away in February of this year. My mom loved to cook. You were always in and out of her kitchen. She had like a revolving door where people were just in and out, eating out of Miss Jenny's pot. And the one cookbook that I was able to salvage is this book from 1902. It's called 3 Meals a Day. It was published in 1902. This cookbook is insane, you guys. It has anything in it from how to brine eggs to how to make pemmican. There's possum pie in here. I doubt we're gonna be making that. I am going to cook my way through this book, and I hope you guys join me on the adventure. It's gonna be interesting, I promise you. I can guarantee you that. The reason I am starting this cooking show is because of my mother. Unfortunately, she passed away in February of this year. And the one cookbook that I was able to salvage is this book from 1902. This cookbook is insane, you guys. It has anything in it from how to brine eggs to how to make pemmican. There's possum pie in here. I doubt we're gonna be making that. I am going to cook my way through this book, and I hope you guys join me on the adventure. It's gonna be interesting, I promise you. I can guarantee you that. Here is my son Beckham. He is going to be joining us for a segment we call Beckham Bakes. He will be cooking right alongside me, and I thought what better way to carry on my mom's passion, love of cooking than to show my sons how to cook in the kitchen. Welcome to our segment we call Beckham Bakes. Here's Beckham. Beckham, say hi to the camera.
Hi!
Okay, we are gonna bake tortillas today, or as we say in Creole, tortilla. So it's not that different. I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. Okay, so we're starting out with nobody. This is baking powder. We don't want that much. That would be crazy. Okay, so we're starting out with some Bob's Red Mill organic, just all-purpose flour. Just make sure you use something higher end and not too fine, like pastry flour. Okay, buddy, we're gonna measure this, okay? We're gonna need 4 cups. Okay.
4 cups.
You hold a measuring cup for mommy, okay? Or actually, you know what? When you do this, don't like measure precisely. No one in Belize ever does. You basically get in there, scoop whatever comes out. Do about 4 of those. Maybe not that scant, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, but we gotta fill it up, buddy. Uh-oh! Flour shower. Okay, you gotta fill it up like this. There, now dump it.
Oh, I dump it.
Oh my goodness. That was amazing. Now 3 more. 3 more of those. Okay, the ingredients for tortillas is so basic. You should always have these on hand. Baking powder, 2 teaspoons of that. Rounded teaspoon of salt, and about 1 3/4 cup of water for 4 cups of flour. That's gonna vary a little bit, you know, depending on your flour and everything. You kind of judge it. If it's too dry, add a little bit more. If it's too wet, you know, add a little less. It's that basic. Okay, Beckham, this is the 2nd cup. Dump it in. Okay, now we need 2 more. How about I roll this down for you? Help you out a little bit. How about that? That is just so much easier. Mommy should have done that from the start. Helped you out. Here, there we go. Okay, 2 more, okay? Oh my word, I'm forgetting one of the most important ingredients, shortening. You need about 1/4 a cup of shortening or lard. Okay, Beckham, we gotta measure a little bit better than that, okay? Let's get this one about right there.
I'm gonna dump it.
Okay, that's 3.
I'm gonna dump
Good job. Okay, one more, buddy. We need 4. Or did I miscount? Okay.
it. I got a big one.
Okay, gotta fill it up a little bit more, all the way to the tippity top. There you go. 4 cups. Yay! Did a little bit of schoolwork right there. Okay, now Beckham. Listen, buddy, we need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. You think you can do that for Mommy?
Yes.
Okay, fill this up. Okay, but now you gotta scrape off the top. Scrape it off. Good job! Look at that professional scrapage.
No, is that
Leveling. That's probably a better word. Good job, buddy. Okay, that's all we need. Now we need some salt. 1 teaspoon of this, okay? Good job. 1 teaspoon of salt. Okay, buddy. We're pushing this table around a little bit. We gotta keep it steady, okay? Okay, I'll put that closer to you. You start mixing that around for Mommy, okay? And I'll get the shortening. Okay, we go 1/4 a cup of shortening. Okay, Beckham. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start kneading this till the shortening is incorporated, okay? Doesn't have to be in there very, very well.
I'm gonna put water in.
Okay, you pour the water and Mommy's gonna knead. Not all at once, just little at a time, buddy, okay? Like that. And sometimes if I want my tortillas to rise faster, I use warmer water. This is looking a little bit dry. I'm thinking we need to add some more water. Okay, I'll be adding a little bit more
I got a
water.
big one, Mom.
You got a big one? Oh my goodness, I love it. This is called a comal. In Belize, this is what we traditionally use. This is what we traditionally use to bake or tortillas on. So if you see someone that claims they're Belizean and they don't know what a comal is, they're lying. They snuck in from somewhere because everybody in Belize knows what tortillas and what a comal is. We all tried to steal tortillas off our mom's hot comal at some point or the other and burned our fingers. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more flour. Still looking a little stiff. I don't know if this flour is just, the texture is just a little bit different.
I got a big one. I got a big one, Mom. I just got a big one.
You got a big one. Goodness, you're good at that. Okay, let's knead this a little bit better. Then we're gonna wanna turn this out onto our table.
Cold.
And something my mommy always taught me to do was to take your hands like this and go around your bowl and clean it out super well. She would get so upset at me. Now we get this out on the table that we're gonna knead. Okay, let's set this off to the side. And what we're gonna do, buddy, here, let's split up the work. You take half, okay? And we're gonna knead it. We're gonna knead it. We're gonna knead it, knead it, knead it till it's nice and smooth and somewhat elastic. I probably added a little bit too much water, so I'm gonna have to knead it a little bit to get it to dry out a little bit again.
Circle.
Beckham, should we sing a song while we're kneading this?
Yes.
What should we sing?
Move it.
I like to move it, move it.
Yes.
You sing it, you sing it.
Sing or move.
Okay, you start and then I'll follow.
I like to move it, move it.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. She like to move it, move it.
She like to move it, move it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know it's not every day you get to go to a concert like that for free.
I'm petting it.
You're patting it. You're doing such a good job patting it. And you can be pretty rough with this.
Pat, pat, pat. Pat it, Mom.
This is not a high-end artisan bread or anything. This is just a staple that we have almost every day. In the morning, we eat it with eggs, beans, anything, our meats that we fry up. We often eat it with butter and some jam, anything that's in season,
It's
guava, mango, sorrel jam, berries jam is just one of my favorite of all times. I don't think that there's anything in the US that I can quite compare it to.
Mom, we're gonna smash it.
So it's just something you're gonna have to try if you go to
I'm gonna
Lily's.
smash it.
Okay,
Mom.
not at this point, buddy. Now we're ready. Now we're about at the texture that we want. It's soft,
Stop,
it's
Mommy,
smoother, and then we start, you roll it out.
Stop, stop.
Okay, Beckham, give me 1 second, buddy. I'll show you how to do something really cool in 1 second, okay? We're gonna roll it out into a log like this. Let's put these over here so we have room to work. If you work in a mess, your product is gonna be a mess. So I try to clean up as I go.
Mom.
Okay, we're gonna give you one ball, Beckham, okay?
It's a big ball.
There, now roll that around in a circle till it's like nice and smooth, okay? So what you're gonna wanna do is form some little balls and just kind of knead them around with your hand till they're nice and smooth.
Too, Mom?
Yep, you roll that one. Let's race. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? What? Go, 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 go.
I can't do it.
Oh, you can? Okay, all right, Mommy's gonna help you. Roll, 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 roll. Okay, we're gonna leave this one right here so we know that one was yours, okay? In 1 second here, I'm gonna be showing you how I make my coleslaw. This is not necessarily traditional to Belize. We don't eat a lot of like lettuce salads and stuff like this. This salad, this coleslaw is kind of our own version and our own take on it. We use a homemade dressing, and I always add both white and purple cabbage, cilantro, jalapeno, and bacon. And that's definitely our own little spin on it, because in Belize you would never be adding bacon to coleslaw. It just would be way too expensive, wouldn't be accessible. It's just my way of hacking and making something a little bit more flavorful. We're having some really fun shaped balls here, but we're gonna go with it, and you will be seeing these baked off in just one moment. Good job! Woohoo! Woohoo! Now we're gonna cover that up with a dish towel and let those rise for about 10-15 minutes. It can be up to half an hour if you like. And we are gonna get started on our dressing for our coleslaw. Woohoo! Good job, Beckham.
Break it!
I got the baby ball. Baby ball.
This is my favorite way to do bacon. I use a half pan, layer it with foil. If you have foil, this happens to be literally the last little piece I have left. So this is going to help me nothing. But put your foil, if you have a baking rack, set it on top. Unwrap your bacon and set it on top. And your bacon grease will drip on top of that foil. Your bacon's gonna be nice and crispy because it's not sitting in the oil. I prefer my bacon more limp, but I mean, it won't make it so greasy. And when you take it out of the oven and it's finished baking, you peel your foil off and it's easy peasy cleanup. So I'm gonna throw that in the oven at about 450 degrees. This is gonna be going into my coleslaw. So I just got my chicken out of the oven. It was in there for about an hour at 350 degrees. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to wrap a piece of this chicken in some tortilla and put my face in it. It is going to be so yummy. So in the blender, I have 1 cup of sugar, a 1/3 cup of vinegar, 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, 1 tablespoon of mustard, celery seed, and some Creole salt. And I'm about to blend this up and add my oil very slowly. The trick to making a dressing like this in the blender is adding your oil slowly so that it emulsifies and it doesn't break. And also turning on your blender. If you do that right, you should never have to worry about your dressing breaking. Back on. What are you wearing?
I'm a rabbit.
It's the pants. It's the You're killing me, Becca. These are pants, okay? This thing that you have on your head is pants. That was my entertainment for today.
I don't like this thing.
What we're about to do next is coleslaw. I'm gonna go ahead and quarter this. I found that that's the easiest way to get cabbage chopped really nice and thin. There's nothing I hate more than when somebody chops cabbage into huge chunks. It doesn't look very appetizing and it's not very fun to eat. I'm just cleaning this up because this was in my fridge and it got a little discolored. I love to mix, for my coleslaws, for color, I love to mix the purple cabbage and the green cabbage together to get that really nice pop of color. And there goes my cabbage. Okay, into this coleslaw, we will be putting carrots. So what I like to do, this is a really easy, quick way to get some julienne carrots. These are our matchstick carrots, which is technically a julienne carrot. And it's much faster, much easier than julienning a bunch of carrots, unless you actually want to take the time to do that. You can also, nowadays, they have available, they have coleslaw mixes available. I don't care for them because, like I said, the cabbage is often so thick and in big chunks, and I just do not like that. Sometimes they do have available at our local grocery store, they'll have the angel hair cabbage just chopped by itself. That's really nice to get and saves you a lot of work as well if you're looking for a quick coleslaw to throw together. Okay, so we're gonna have some green cabbage, some carrots, the bacon is in the oven, some cilantro, and some jalapeno. And this salad is really, you can tweak this around a lot. I sometimes add stuff like mango, pineapple, whatever I have in the fridge that I think, oh, that sounds good. You can even do something like golden raisins, you know, just like that sweet and savory type of thing. Just sometimes I even throw something like a little bit of deli meat that I might have in my fridge, like little ends, and brown them real good, crisp them up, and dice them up and throw them in there, and add some really good meaty flavor. Perfect bacon. It's a little bit crispy on the outside, but it's still kind of limp in the middle. And this is one place I think people should spend. When you buy bacon, buy a good quality bacon. If you buy a cheaper bacon, the cut is not going to be as good. It's not going to be as thick, and your flavor is not going to be as good. You're going to pay a couple more bucks to get a good pound of high quality bacon, but it is so worth your extra dollars. Pop this up. Also, a little tip, one that I did not use here, is to put your bacon in the freezer, and that'll till it's frozen, and then chopping it into little bits and baking it on your pan. That way, it's much easier to slice through. It's almost impossible to slice through room temperature bacon. You want a nice chop here. You want a little bit of bacon in each bite. Okay, I've had my Kamal heating. One old school trick is to go like that, and if the little balls dissipate or roll around, you know it's ready. Our tortilla's been raising for about 30 minutes now. Pat them into a little round, use a rolling pin, roll them the long way like this. I literally have done this a million times as a kid. I haven't done it as much lately. Not this one, buddy. We're gonna bake this. This is gonna be delicious. And this tortilla can basically be the transportation to any food you want. Pick it up, drop it on your Kamal, move it around a little bit so it doesn't stick. And the reason you want your dough to rise and you don't want to roll them out right away. If you don't, the tortilla is going to shrink right back down into a fat little tortilla, and it's not going to bake evenly. So, here we go. Here's our second one. Some people are amazing at this. My mom always said mine looks like the map of the United States. Her map of the world is what she always called my tortilla shapes. But hey, as long as it tastes good, okay? This is basically a flat palette for anything you want to add to it. Or canvas, not palette. This is a canvas. Okay, let's check this. Want a little bit of browning on it, go ahead and flip it over. You'll start seeing little marks in it too, little wrinkles. That gives you a good indication that you can flip it. Here's my dressing that we've made. Go ahead and drizzle some of that on there. I love the sweet and savory combination of this coleslaw. Okay, my tortilla is ready to come off of here. You know you're an expert when you can grab them up like that even though they're hot. Here's my chicken. It just came out of the oven. Look how much gravy this chicken released. That's one thing I love about braising chicken. It releases so much of its own juices. You don't need that much. You don't need to add that much gravy to it. So here's a thigh. It's falling apart. It's so tender. Go. And the thing about Belizean food is it's soul food. So I like to call it ugly food because it's not very it's not a Michelin star dish by any means in terms of presentation, but it is absolutely flavorful and delicious. The flavors will knock you right out of the park. Okay, make sure you got plenty of bacon on that bite. Put that on top of my tortilla right here. And you make yourself a little... The traditional way to eat this would be to tear a piece of tortilla right off, scoop some of that chicken, some of that coleslaw. Delicious. The reason I am starting this cooking show is because of my mother. Unfortunately, she passed away in February of this year, and the one cookbook that I was able to salvage is this book from 1902. This cookbook is insane, you guys. It has anything in it from how to brine eggs to how to make pemmican. There's possum pie in here. I doubt we're gonna be making that. I am going to cook my way through this book, and I hope you guys join me on the adventure. It's gonna be interesting, I promise you. I can guarantee you that. I am such a pinch and dump kind of person. Beckham's joining us now. You wanna do the complete seasoning?
Yes.
Okay, we need 1/4 cup. You think you can measure that? Look at him, he was about to do a mommy there. Okay, so there's 1/4 cup of complete seasoning. I use the Badia brand for that, or maybe you're supposed to say Badia. I always say Badia. You can get it at like local Mexican stores. Okay, we already have this one, buddy, okay? Now it's Creole seasoning next, okay? I use this all the time in Belize we do this thing where we cut up fruit like oranges and apples and any mangoes, anything we can get our hands on. And depending what's in season.
I'm gonna dump it.
And we sprinkle it with salt and pepper, and often Marie Sharps, which is like thebomb.com habanero pepper, by the way. Okay, so 1/4 cup complete seasoning, and then we need 1/4 cup of seasoned salt. But what I'm gonna be using here, this is a little plug for Stephanie Izard from Chicago. She was just named the new Iron Chef off Iron Chef Gauntlet. I met her at the Harvest Fest in Chicago, and I tasted her food at one of her restaurants, the Little Goat Diner, and it was nachos, pork nachos, and I was like, oh my word, this tastes like ricotta. But there's just no way that I'm tasting ricotta on this pork. I was like, this tastes just like how I make it. I talked to her later, and come to find out, she had been to Belize. She loved this Creole seasoning. I mean, the seasoned salt. She said she smuggled some home and created her own blend of it, and it's called This Little Goat Went to Belize. So I was insanely proud. Our country coming through strong. And she wanted me to write her and tell her what I thought about it. So here we go, Stephanie. If you ever see this, we're trying out your seasonal. See, 1/4 cup is this little baby one. It takes 4 of these to make a cup. Whoa, trying to get it out of there. It's kind of compressed. We're gonna basically use this whole thing. Okay, dump it in. Plus a little extra. Ooh, it smells good. It smells pretty original. I'm pretty impressed. So we have 1/3 cup of vinegar in there. We have 2 heaping tablespoons of ricotta. We have 1/2 teaspoon of thyme, 1/2 teaspoon of oregano. We have the seasonal. And next we're gonna do 1/4 cup of Worcestershire. This is the Lee & Perrins brand. Doesn't have to be, it's just what I happen to have on hand. In Belize, the cooking is all about what you might, sometimes you might not even necessarily know what you're gonna cook that day. Someone might go hunting or fishing. They often have these little guys that either hunt or fish and walk through the village and sell you something. So you never know what might turn up for the day. And I love that. I love that about our culture. I miss it so much. Like here people feel amazing if they get a box of HelloFresh in the mail and they feel so, you know, advanced. And I'm like, I've been doing that for years, honey. And it is fresh. Okay, back up. 2 teaspoons of this. Hold out your hand. Hold out your hand. Okay. Dump it in. There's 1 teaspoon. This will add a nice, just a little hint of curry flavor for you and some nice heat. Okay, and this, I like to grind my own black pepper. So we're gonna do about 2 teaspoons of this. I just guesstimate, you know. Black pepper for days, honey. Grind. Grind, 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 grind. Help me, Beckham. Grind it, grind it, grind it.
Can I do it too?
We already have that in there, buddy, okay?
But I want to do it too.
No, you can help me stir this. How about that? How about that? Use this spoon right here
I do it.
that you were giving your doll a spanking with earlier. Okay. Stir, stir. Make it nice and smooth. And then we'll have a paste for the ricotta chicken. And by the way, people often confuse it and say Ricardo. There is no R in there. It's Ricardo. And I do still speak Creole. Creole was my first language. It's an English Creole. It's actually a mix between British English and the tribe of Africans that came over and were slaves to the British, which is just horrible, by the way. Their languages basically mixed and made the language we know today as Creole. So you might hear me burst out in that every once in a while. Okay, Beckham, you keep stirring. I'm going to wash off the excess water on here. And we are going to put our paste on. See how much that made? It
Mom,
makes quite
Mom,
a bit.
Can I put this on? Can I put it on, Mom? Can I put this on, Mom?
We'll do a little bit of that later, okay? Okay, so just get your hands in there. It'll get all dirty and orangey. Don't worry. Don't freak out. That's what you want. You want it to be nice and covered. One step I almost forgot about and that my mom was crazy about, and I am too, is using your knife to create a little slit in the meat, like this.
Like a big, Mom.
Oh, that went a little crazy.
Like a big, Mom.
Like this.
Okay, Mom, I put a big
And
Mom.
being sure to rub your marinade, your ricotta paste in those pieces
I put
so
a big
the
one.
flavor passes through the meat and you get a good flavor all around. You want to give these little bad boys a nice massage. Okay, you want a nice rich color on there. I like mine to look something like that. There's nothing more disappointing to me than going to somebody's house and they said that they have ricotta chicken and it's really pale and you just don't get the flavor that way. Okay, Beckham, looks like we just made a catastrophe over here. Okay, so this, I have my pan heating on the stove, which by the way, always heat your pan before you add your oil. And this is coconut oil straight from Belize. I stored it in my fridge so it doesn't go rancid, and that's why it looks like this. That's why it's hard and I'm scooping it out. This stuff is like liquid gold, okay? So if you ever go to Belize, have any connection with Belize, have somebody that's going there, has a little room in their suitcase, get yourself some coconut oil, okay? It will literally make or break your dish. I mean, yes, if you just use like the stuff here from the US, you'll get away with it. But make sure if you're going to purchase it here in the US, make sure that you're getting extra virgin, cold express or something like that, because otherwise you're gonna lose the taste. This is also something that I'm hoping to someday be able to show you guys how this is made. My aunt made this in Belize, my great aunt, and they sell it for about $10 Belize for this liter. I just cut the lid off. They send it in their little bottles that they reuse and everything. So it's just, all of it is so sentimental. This whole process for me cooking this chicken is just like a whole experience. It's like, I think about Belize, I think about how my mom raised me with, you know, that as we would say, village girl, you know, just running up and down in the village on the little dirt road. Everybody knows everybody. There's about 100 people in Isabella Bank, and I was related to most of them. And anyways, yes, so this is almost like a religion to me right here. So I take my ricotta chicken very seriously. So while that is going to get nice and browned for us, I should have set this out a little earlier so it softened up a little bit, but hey, this is real life. This is how it goes right here. Being a mommy, can't always have that perfection like you normally would try to. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to get my chef knife in there and just work this baby out, because we're going to need a nice amount of this. And then also, pro tip, if you want to stretch your oil, which I often do, like if I'm cooking for a large crowd, but I still want that good, genuine coconut oil flavor, use some canola oil or some peanut oil and add a couple tablespoons of your coconut oil. And you'll still get that nice, rich, genuine coconut flavor without using up your war ration of coconut oil. We guard this with our life. Okay, so that's getting ready to sizzle and pop. I'm gonna chop up some celery here to throw into my stock on the back there. I'm gonna let that simmer and cook while we're cooking up this ricotta chicken. And this is just stock. This does not need to be pretty. This is a great way to use up vegetables. If you have end pieces, if you have a batch, you're like, oh, what am I gonna do with that? It's gonna go bad before I need it. Chop it up, throw it in your stock. This will be great later for soup. You can cook it down and make a demi-glace. Doesn't need to be pretty, and then you'll skim that later. My fat looks like it's hot. I'm gonna start throwing some chicken pieces in there. You wanna hear that sizzle. That's where you're gonna get your nice brown caramelized color. And you do wanna get a real good color on here before you remove it from the pan. Don't crowd your pan while you're cooking that. So we got our first batch in there. I'm gonna move on to our green peppers. I probably have close to 10 pounds of chicken, so I'll do about two of these peppers. My peppers split open here on me. This is actually a red and a yellow pepper, but they have basically the same flavor. So remove your whites, that's what adds bitterness. Just cut straight across like this to do that. Okay, so my chicken is nicely browned. I have it over here in my bowl. I am gonna throw my peppers in. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do a quick saute on these. And essentially what we're doing is we're deglazing our pan. Every time you add vegetables or anything to a pan where you cook your protein in, the moisture from those vegetables is going to release the fond on the bottom of the pan. And your fond is those little crispy pieces that got cooked on the bottom. That's where most of your flavor is going to come from. I have a whole onion in here, 4 cloves of garlic, 2 peppers. I'm about to put a whole jalapeno in. If you're scared of too much heat, that's what you do. You add the whole thing and you'll get that good flavor without the extra heat.
I want some more, Mom.
I'm about to do some cilantro, some more what?
Some more chicken.
Okay. Just do a coarse chop on this. It doesn't have to be real fine. It's gonna get sauteed down and it's gonna get cooked down. I love me some cilantro. I always cook with a lot of it.
Can you put that on, Mom?
So I have my vegetables pretty close to soft here. And don't be afraid of all this splatter. It's gonna get greasy, it's gonna get dirty. That's how you know your food is good. You gotta have that heat. And saute in French actually means to jump. So your vegetables and your oil's gonna be jumping all over the place. That's good. You need that heat to extract these flavors, the essential oils from your vegetables. We're gonna add the gravy that came off the bottom of the pan there. Kind of reduce that a little bit. And I got my stuff getting ready to simmer back there. That has celery, carrots, and onion. The French word for that is mirepoix. It's 2 parts onion to 1 part carrot and celery. We're gonna be skimming that later. Look at those beautiful colors. That's why I use the different peppers, just for the color. I'm gonna put that chicken back in here. And what we're gonna do is toss it into an oven with the cover on it, the lid on it.
Can I put it in, Mom?
I could throw these, Becca wants me to put these stems in, and we can. It's gonna cook down, it'll add more flavor. I'm gonna be moving some of these veggies to the top just so everything's nice and covered.
Mom,
all these different pieces are getting flavor. Ooh, this is going to be off the chain. Can't wait to eat this. And if you want extra gravy, you can always add some water to this. This has plenty of seasoning and flavor, so you're not gonna have to worry that you're like thinning it down too much. This is gonna extract a lot of flavor. So throw my lid on this like that. Put it in my 350-degree oven for an hour, and you are going to be too legit to quit, honey. Your dinner guests are gonna be so impressed. The reason I am starting this cooking show is because of my mother. Unfortunately, she passed away in February of this year, and the one cookbook that I was able to salvage is this book from 1902. This cookbook is insane, you guys. It has anything in it from how to brine eggs to how to make pemmican. There's possum pie in here. I doubt we're gonna be making that. I am going to cook my way through this book, and I hope you guys join me on the adventure. It's gonna be interesting, I promise you. I can guarantee you that. Okay, hi everybody, and welcome to the segment of the show that we're gonna call Know Thy Protein. It is so important to start out with a good product. A good protein, in this case chicken. I'm going to show you how to butcher this little baby in about 5 minutes. Know thy butcher. It's important to have a good working relationship with your local butcher because he'll be able to hook you up with some good meats. In this case, a chicken. And what I'm going to be showing you guys is how to break down a chicken in about 5 minutes or less. When you break down your own chicken and you're not getting it on a tray, you're getting all the same meat from the same chicken, which will help it cook evenly, and it's also economical because you are not paying somebody else to do something you can do in about 5 minutes. Okay, so the first order of business are the legs and thighs, okay? So start by taking your knife right here gently with this right through the skin here that's attached close to the breast, being careful not to get the breast itself. Once you have that cut, pick this up and break it away from the carcass. Okay, now you basically have a line that you can follow, and you're going to be cutting right down in between there. And you know, this whole process might scare you, like breaking down a chicken. You might think you need a huge guy like this. You might think, oh my goodness, I need a cleaver. I don't have a cleaver. I don't know how to use it. You don't need any of this. Although this thing is so amazing looking and looks I would love to put this to good use today. You don't need special equipment. All you need is your chef knife. You can also use a boning knife to do this. I prefer a chef knife because once you learn how to use a chef knife, you can do anything with it. Okay, so on the leg and thigh, there is a neat little trick that you can use. There's a line that runs through here right at the joint. You can also feel in here, feel the joint. You slice right in between there, and voila, leg and a thigh, okay? So now we're gonna repeat the same process on the other side. Cut gently through the skin, set your knife down, break it away, follow that line on the carcass. Okay, I need to break it away a little bit more. There we go. Got it. Go right through there. And you can, if you ever have trouble, all you need to do is hold your knife, do your hand like this, and kind of pop right through. It'll go right through for you. Okay, so follow this line again over here. Now I have my 2 legs, my 2 thighs. We're going to move on to the wings. And one nice thing about meat is, or most proteins, is they follow our basic human anatomy, okay? So we both got 2 legs, we've got our thighs. For us women, we know that's a subject we all like to talk about. Here is our shoulder and our arms, in this case, chicken wings. So when you try to figure out like where all these pieces are, think about your own anatomy. It often lines up. Okay, so there's a joint right here in between the wing and the little drum on the wing. Feel in there, and you're basically going to be doing the exact same concept that you just did with the drum and thigh. Look how easy I sliced that off. There you have it. Little wing, and then you go in, get your little drumlet, same concept. There's a joint right there. If you slice in between, it's wham, bam, you got it. Your husband will be so happy that you're cooking up some wings for him tonight. You can compete with B-Dubs or whatever wing store he likes. There you go. There's another one. A lot of this has to do with feeling the joints. Okay, there we go. Another drum. Okay, so now what I'm left with is basically what we call the Rolls Royce of the chicken. And that is the 2 breasts. That's what you often pay the most money for unless it's on sale. So I have what's left here, some of the bone and carcass, which is great for stock. So I'm just going to go through there, get rid of that. That's going to go in my pot for stock later. And put your chicken with the breast side up towards you. If you want to kind of make a little line through here so you have something to follow, that can be really helpful. And basically what you're looking to do is follow the carcass. The carcass is going to be your guide. He's going to be your best friend, okay? So angle the knife a little bit a ways from the carcass. And if you kind of push that knife up against your carcass, you're going to feel where you're going and you're not going to have product waste. Okay, and now you might be thinking, oh, but if I do that, it's never going to look that nice. It's going to look bad. Who cares, okay? The best thing, the whole idea here is that you're in your kitchen, you're working, you're getting food on the table, and you're spending time together as a family, okay? And that is so valuable. Nobody starts doing something like this and being perfect on the first try, okay? It's all about experience and practice, 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 okay? It doesn't matter if you hacked up your first breast. It doesn't matter if it doesn't look that great the first time you did it. What matters, like I said, is spending time in the kitchen, spending time with your family. So there we have it. 2 thighs, 2 legs, 2 drums, 2 wings, and a beautiful carcass with no waste that's going to go into your stock. Thank you for joining us on Know Thy Butcher. the reason I am starting this cooking show is because of my mother. Unfortunately, she passed away in February of this year, and the one cookbook that I was able to salvage is this book from 1902. This cookbook is insane, you guys. It has anything in it from how to brine eggs to how to make pemmican. There's possum pie in here. I doubt we're gonna be making that. I am going to cook my way through this book, and I hope you guys join me on the adventure. It's gonna be interesting, I promise you. I can guarantee you that. I wanted to introduce you guys to my son, Caspian. He is 7 months old. And today on the show we have a special guest with us. She is my cousin. She is also Belizean. This is Mrs. Paula Perdomo, and she is the author behind the cookbook Savor Belize. And if you would like a copy of this book, we can provide information in the links below. Okay everyone, today we are going to be making Belizean Fried Jacks, which is like a fried flour tortilla. And we're also going to be making some mozzarella cheese and refried beans. And Paula, who is here with us today, has her own version of her recipe, and I'm going to be using another recipe from the same cookbook, Savor Belize, so that we can kind of compare the two and show you the results. We're going to be starting off by each measuring out 4 cups of flour for our recipe. I am just using a generic brand here because in Belize, you know, you would just use what you could get. So that's what I'm going to be using in my recipe. Paula is using King Arthur, and she has discovered that, what is it, Paula?
I actually like King Arthur better because it's more like, it's not quite as refined. And when I came from Belize to the States, and I used regular all-purpose flour, I didn't like it as much because it was a little bit more refined than what I was used to.
Did it produce like a tougher product?
Well, I had to work with it a bit to change the recipe a bit to make it work the way I remembered it or the way I like it. I don't know, I just like King Arthur better for some reason. Okay,
so King Arthur, if you're following Paula's recipe in the Savor Belize cookbook, you're going to want to go with King Arthur flour.
So I would try 1 teaspoon.
Okay, so so we're both going to do 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. And we are going to be using coconut oil as our fat in here. Paula kind of came up with a hack for one of these recipes. She thought it came out a little bit like, instead of like puffing up really huge and just being full of air, they were more flat and thick and fluffy. So in my recipe, I'm going to be trying a combination of fat and heavy cream. And the fat from the heavy cream is going to be our fat in here. Okay, so we have kosher salt added to our flour. I'm going to be adding 2 tablespoons of baking powder to mine. And Paula, how much are you going to be adding to yours? Is yours
2 teaspoons of baking powder.
Whoa, that is a huge difference.
Yeah.
What do you foresee happening with mine, with that, Paula?
I don't know. Probably be more.
A lot more bubbling, or
maybe, or more yellow.
More yellow? Okay.
I don't know.
So baking powder kind of yellows. I didn't even know that. Look at that little tip I learned from my Belizean cousin.
Well, I don't know if that's the intent or if that's, I don't know.
Okay, so we'll see. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And instead of, for fat in my Fried Jacks, traditionally you would use shortening or coconut oil or something like that. Today I'm going to try heavy whipping cream in mine, and Paula is going to try the coconut oil in hers, and we're going to compare the difference. I'm hoping, here's coconut oil for you, Paula. I'm hoping for more of a fluffy texture, but also kind of flat, if that makes sense. Like a thick elephant ear or something. Okay, Paula, so how much heavy whipping cream would you recommend I use in place of fat?
I would use at least 1/4 cup.
1/4 cup, okay.
Mama.
And how much,
maybe even more, you know.
okay. How much coconut oil do you think you're using?
I'm using 2 tablespoons of coconut oil.
2 tablespoons, so okay, so it's not quite the same measurement. And what I'm gonna be doing here is I'm adding warm water in Belize. Most of the time you're gonna be getting water from a vat or something like that anyway, so your water is most likely going to be somewhat warm, lukewarm. I like adding at least lukewarm to a little bit warmer water. It helps your baking powder react faster and cuts down on your rising time. Paula, how much water do you think you'll be using for your...
A cup to a cup and a half of water for mine.
Okay.
I'm cutting in the shortening right now. Then I'll add my water.
Okay, what size do you think it should be, Paula, before they start adding water?
Size.
Like when you cut in that coconut oil, how much, like what size do you think like
the flour should feel like?
Yeah.
I just cut it in until it's all fine. I mean, you don't really see the shortening in there. You don't really feel it, but you can tell it's not just flour. Like, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. Okay. So fairly powdery. It's not like Kaido or anything.
Yeah, it's not like lumps of shortening should be left in there.
Okay.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, fried jacks and tortillas aren't that picky either. So
yeah, this is not a high dollar food.
Yeah.
This is, you throw it in your bowl, mix it up, and hope you have it on hot and smoking before everybody starves. Okay, this is kind of like an add as you go kind of thing for the water, and I got a little bit too much in mine. It's a little bit too sticky to set out on my table yet to knead, so I'm incorporating the water by kneading it, and then I'm going to be adding some more flour. It's a lot like bread or anything like that where you would just kind of go by eye. You know, it's kind of hard to tell exactly where you need to be. This one, since it has the heavy whipping cream in it, is going to require a little bit more kneading. It's a little bit more wet, so I'm going to continue kneading it to develop those glutens and incorporate my moisture. Paula, can you explain to them what your dough is a little bit more like right now?
my dough is a little bit, because it has a little more fat in it, it's more like pie crust, so I don't want to mess with it too much. This should yield a more fluffy, thicker fried jack. Hers will be more thin. Anyways, I guess
yeah, I said that wrong last
time.
time, guys.
Yeah.
Mine is gonna be the puffy one, and she's gonna end up with the more.
With that fluffy, it shouldn't puff too much, but you never know what's gonna happen. So
That's right. You never know what happens when you throw dough in hot oil.
Yeah.
So we're going to see. So we're gonna keep kneading this here until this is nice and stretchy, and then we're gonna be dividing it up into the rolls and letting those rise.
yeah.
Okay, so mine is a little bit of a smoother texture, and Paula's looks.
These ones, you don't want to mess with them too much, so you're not going to want to knead them or roll them too much. So yeah, hers should be handled more and have more of a smooth texture, and mine are going to be a little more rough. So.
And what I'm doing right now is I'm just basically rolling it out with my hands to kind of make a long rope, and then I'll be pinching off sections like this to make balls and rolling them with my hand. And if you got really good at doing this, you could do 2 at a time. 2 at a time. That's right. You know that's right. So we have these ready. I'm going to put them back into the bowl. It doesn't matter if they're stacked a little bit on top of each other. And cover it with a tea towel to prevent a crust from forming on the top. Paula, how long do you think we should let these rise?
You can let the dough rise from 10 minutes minimum to hour, whatever works for you. You can even refrigerate them now if you want to overnight in a container, a sealed container. But you want them to set, because if they don't set, they will, when you roll them out, they'll try to draw back together, and it will be hard to form your fried jack. So
they get kind of fat and springy,
yeah.
right? They kind of spring back into this little fat, yeah.
Yeah, and since we use warmer water, it should be it shouldn't take as long to set. So yeah.
Okay, and then
I'm
so
just gonna cover mine.
if you're a mommy and you're busy and you're trying to plan ahead, this is something you could knead up the day before,
Yeah.
put in your fridge. And you could even cook your, what we're going to be serving with these are refried beans, so you could even cook your beans the day ahead of time or have them simmering that morning, have your dough ready, and when dinner calls, and you're ready to go.
Yep.
So we're in the kitchen now, and the first thing I'm going to do is turn on a skillet in the back. We're going to be caramelizing an onion. This is going to be added to my beans. I cooked these earlier today. I cook those with fresh ground black pepper, some oregano, garlic, and a whole onion. But I'm still going to add some caramelization to these beans by caramelizing this onion. And then we're going to start by heating a gallon of milk to make our mozzarella cheese. I put this on high, just crank it open, put a gallon of milk in here, and once this is hot, I'm going to be adding some vinegar, and we're going to be seeing some curd and whey. Okay, I'm going to show you guys the proper way to cut and peel an onion. Go ahead and cut it in half right through the root, and this will make it easier to grasp the edge of the skin and peel it off. If you need to peel off a bad layer, this is the time to do it. And the area that you want to avoid when working with an onion is the root. That's where all the sulfuric acid is at, and that's what burns your eyes when you get into an onion. Start by getting rid of this little guy here on the end on both sides, and just start slicing through it as close as you can to the root. Turning it as you go. And then once you get to the edge, just cut away that root, and you're left with all your slices. Now I could throw these into my pan, start cooking those, and we'll be adding those to the beans in just one moment. Our milk is warm. It's almost to the boiling point, but not boiling, so I'm going to go ahead and switch that off. And I'm going to add about 1 3/4 cup of vinegar, and we'll see how that does, or if we'll have to add more or not. Okay, I'm almost immediately seeing the proteins coagulate, and it looks like I might need to add just a little bit more. Actually, you know what? I think we're good. I think we're great. It's separated just perfectly for me. So I am going to grab a chinois and a bowl, and we're going to strain the curds and the whey. Our onions are cooking beautifully. They're almost ready for our beans. And Paula's going to be blending those beans for us. And how we like to do that for refried beans is to strain off some of the liquid that you cook the beans in. Whoa, had a little bit of a mess there. That's all right. Strain off some of the liquid from the beans so that when you're blending your beans, they're nice and thick, and when they hit that pan, they're not all liquidy and they're not take all that time to reduce down. Go ahead and dump all of that into the beans there. We have about probably 9 cups in that blender. I'm straining the whey from the curd. And just a little science tip for your day: whenever you separate cheese like this, you start with 1 gallon of milk, you're still going to end up with 1 gallon of whey. I don't know the science behind that, but I just know that that's the way it is. That's the way it works. Traditionally, you would do this with a cheesecloth, but since we don't have one, this is what we're working with. I'm pressing out the whey as much as I can. I'm going to be adding salt to this and kneading it. Okay, I'm adding some traditional Belizean coconut oil to this. This comes all the way from Isabella Bank, Belize. Whenever I have a family member going to Belize, I have them bring some back for me. A family member made this for me. I'm not sure, Paula, do you know, is this a cold press or is this?
It's probably heated.
Yeah, this is a heated version, but it's still.
It's a gentle heat, like maybe like a fire hearth. It's not like
raging
temperature.
Right. Anyway, so this stuff is like liquid gold. Okay, so what I usually do to ration it, to make it stretch, is start off with something like this organic coconut oil that I can get at Sam's Club, Walmart, something like that. I add that first. I'm going to add a little bit more to put enough in the first time, and then I add this to flavor it. And Paula has our beans blended. This is almost hot. I'm going to go ahead and add the salt to this mozzarella cheese. I don't know if you can see or not how it's basically one big giant curd. Isn't that crazy, guys? All this is vinegar and milk and salt. And it tastes good. You could taste, I mean, it needs salt. and you get a little bit of that acidic vinegar in it, but man, for 5 minutes on the stove, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying. Something I forgot to point out earlier is that I do not add salt to my beans while I am cooking them. That makes it take longer to soften. And so I added my salt afterwards, and I'm probably going to add some more here at this point. Always season to taste. Taste as you cook. You're going to end up with your best flavors that way.
Okay, we're stirring the beans so they don't stick on the bottom. We want it to fry for a little bit and thicken them a bit. We're using black beans today because we didn't have red kidney beans, so we just used what we had.
Because traditionally you'd use red kidney in Belize, right?
Yeah. In Belize, most people would use the red kidney bean, yeah.
Our beans are ready. We turned those off. We have our cheese here, and I could have worked this down a little bit more, kneaded it a little bit more, but I left it kind of like a spreadable quality so we can just spread those on our Fry Jacks when they're ready. I'm going to go ahead and cut an avocado. We're going to be eating this on one of our Fry Jacks, kind of like toast. That's so trendy right now. The proper way to do the avocados, cut it in half, remove the pit like that. Cut your slices right within the avocado skin. And when you remove your skin, your slices are going to be perfectly formed. You can use a spoon to do this. You don't have to peel it by hand.
Okay, how big you want they? That's the question.
Also, yeah, that's good right there.
Alright.
Those look good. Whose are those?
These are Eden's. They're the ones that are supposed to pop a little bit.
Do you know where sweet milk is?
Here, hang on.
Okay, you don't want to roll Fry Jacks out too big because they'll get too thin. You want them to have a little bit of thickness. We usually roll them out about this big, and we sprinkle salt on them just for a little, I guess, for the taste. And some people leave their Fry Jack whole, but we like to cut ours in half. We put little slits in them so that they don't just puff into one big puff, but the slits control the puffing. Okay, these are the ones that Eden needed. These have the cream in them. They have more of a uniform color. They are a little bit more golden. I don't know if you can tell on the camera. These are the ones that I made. They do not have any cream, any milk, or anything like that. They are flatter. These did puff, which they were supposed to do. These are flatter and a little bit thicker, more fluffy, and the color is not uniform. That's because it just has water, it has no milk. So here we have our delicious Fry Jacks with the refried beans, the avocado, and the homemade mozzarella cheese. We really love this for our breakfast in Belize. You can also add an egg, scrambled eggs, fried eggs. Another way that we like Fry Jacks is, it sounds weird, but we do like it with sweetened condensed milk or powdered sugar. You can eat it with honey, jam, butter, whatever you want. This is a really versatile, delicious. And so this is one of our family's favorite meals. We enjoy this any time of day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for letting us show you how we make our cultural Belizean dish.